Alright guys, so today we're going to go through, work on some practice problems on how to simplify terms with exponents. So the first one we got is 9 to the 0 power times x to the 4th divided by x to the negative 2 power. When you start this, what you want to do first is move any negative exponents that you do have. So on the bottom you have x to the negative 2 power. You're going to take that piece, you're going to move it to the opposite location, which is the numerator. In doing so, your exponent is going to become positive. So you have 9 to the 0 power, x to the 4th, x to the positive 2 now. So if you remember the rule for the power of 0, anything to the power of 0 always will be 1. So this 9 here that has a 0 exponent attached to it, that becomes 1. And then you have these x's. You have x squared and x to the 4th power. So when you're multiplying, you add the exponents. So you get x to the 6th. 4 plus 2 is 6. Another way to think about this is x to the 4th means x is there 4 times. 1, 2, 3, 4. X squared means x is there twice. 1, 2. And combining them, you get a total of... Alright, so when you combine these, there's 6 x's. So when you combine them, you get x to the 6th power. Alright, so let's go on to the next example. Let's say we have parentheses 6xy squared, close parentheses to the 3rd power, divided by 2x negative 3, y to the 10th power. So with this one, we're still going to go through, move our negative exponents around. So we have a negative exponent that's right here on the bottom. We're going to take that, put it in the numerator. So we'll take that piece, move it to the top. So in doing so, we're going to change our sign of that one piece so that now it becomes a positive 3. So nothing else changed. All we did was we took this x negative 3 that's on the bottom, we moved it to the top, and we stuck it right here. So after you do that, you want to go through, take your exponent, that's outside the parentheses, that's a 3. We're going to distribute it inside the parentheses. So we're going to bring it inside with the 6, as well as the x, and with the y. So we have 6 to the 3rd power. So that's the same thing as having 6 times 6 times 6, which is 216. And then with the x, when you have a power to a power, an exponent to an exponent, you're going to multiply them. So with x, it's going to be 1 times 3, which is going to be 3. And then with the y, 2 times 3 gets you 6. Everything else comes down. Alright, so from here we want to go through and start to reduce these numbers. So we have 216 divided by 2. That's going to be 108. On top, we have x3 with another x3. When you're multiplying, you add the exponents. So that gets you x to the 6th power. With the y's, if you're dividing, you're going to subtract the exponents. So you got 10 minus 6, and that's going to be 4. So you keep it wherever the bigger exponent is. So it's bigger on the bottom, so it stays on the bottom. Alright, so let's try the next problem. So we have negative 2 to the 4th power x6, x8, divided by x to the power of negative 2. So just like the last one, we're going to take our negative exponent, which is x to the negative 2 power, and change its location. So it's negative on the bottom. We're going to take it, move it to the top, and it becomes positive. Nothing else changes. Everything is the same. We just take our x to negative 2 and put it on top, and now it becomes a positive 2. So we have in the front negative 2 to the 4th power. So you got to be careful with this one because it's not inside parentheses. So that means this 4 only affects the 2, not the negative sign. The negative sign comes along after you do 2 to the 4th power. So 2 to the 4th is 2 times 2 times 2 times 2. That's going to become 16. And then you have your negative sign that follows along. With these x's, since you're multiplying, you're going to add the exponents. So 8 plus 6 plus 2 gets you 16. So x 16. Okay, so let's try another one. So we have parentheses negative 3x squared y, close parentheses to the 3rd power, times 2x squared y negative 3. So we have a negative exponent here that's attached with the y. So we're going to take that piece, since it's in the numerator, we're going to move it to the denominator. We're going to take it and put it on the bottom. Nothing else changes. We're just moving the y that's negative 3 on top to the bottom, so now it becomes y positive 3. So from here, we want to take our number that's outside the exponent, or that's outside the parentheses, the exponent of 3 here. We want to distribute it inside the parentheses. So negative 3 to the third power, and then x squared to the third, and then y to the third. So negative 3 to the third is going to be negative 27. And then we have x to the 6. So 2 times 3 gets you 6. And then y, 1 times 3 gets you 3. Everything else comes along. Alright, so now we got to go through and start simplifying all this stuff. So on top we have a negative 27 and a 2 that get to be multiplied together. We also have these y's that are on top and bottom, so those need to be subtracted. And we also have these x's that are in the numerator, so when you're multiplying, you're going to add the exponents. So with the y's, 3 minus 3 is 0, so those are gone, they cancel out. We have negative 27 times 2, that gets us negative 54. And then with the x, you got x6 and x squared. You're multiplying, so you add them, and you get x to the 8th power. Alright, so next one. Go through and do maybe 2 more. So we got parentheses negative 2x to the third, y to the negative 4 power squared, times parentheses 3x to the negative 1 power, y, close parentheses, to the negative 3 power. So if you look at this whole second set of parentheses, you have this negative 3 that's affecting everything inside it. So what that does is you're going to take this whole entire thing, the whole entire second piece, you're going to move it to the opposite location. It's in the numerator, so you got to move it to the denominator. So we're going to rewrite it with that piece on the bottom. So once you put it on the bottom, your exponent changes and it becomes positive. Just the exponent that's on the outside. The inside pieces don't change, not yet, not until you distribute that 3 into them. So now we're going to go through and start distributing the exponent outside the parentheses inwards. So on top you have a 2 that has to get distributed inside with the negative 2, with the x cubed, and the y negative 4. So negative 2 times negative 2. So this one's different than the previous one we did because this one's inside parentheses. So that means the negative 2 is being squared. So negative 2 times the negative 2 is a positive 4. And then when you have an exponent to an exponent, you multiply them. So x3 squared would be x to the 6. And then y negative 4 to the second power would be y to the negative 8. So you're multiplying those exponents again. On the bottom, we're going to do the exact same thing. 3 to the third power is 27. X, we're multiplying negative 1 times 3. You get negative 3. And then y, 1 times 3 gets you 3. So from here, after we get rid of all of our parentheses, we're going to move all the negative pieces again. So we have a y that's negative 8 on top. We got to move to the bottom. We got x negative 3 on the bottom. We got to move to the top. So I'm just going to rewrite the whole thing with positive exponents. Alright, so from here we got one more step. We need to start combining these and reducing them. So 4 over 27 can't be reduced, so it stays the same as 4 over 27. On top you have x6 and x3. When you combine them, you're adding the exponents since you're multiplying, so you get x9. And then y, you combine them by adding again, you get y11. So anytime you multiply, you add the exponents. Alright, so we'll do one more. So let's say we have 3x to the negative 4, y7 squared divided by negative 2x to the 5th, y cubed to the power of negative 1. Alright, so with this one you have the bottom, the denominator, having a power that is negative. So that means we're going to take the whole thing that's on the bottom, because the negative 1 affects this whole entire piece. We're going to take that and change its location, move it to the top. So let's rewrite the whole thing with a positive exponent with that 1. Alright, so after we do that, we're going to go through, take our exponent that's outside the parentheses, and distribute it inside. So the first one we have is 3 that's being squared. 3 squared is 9. With the x, negative 4 times 2 would be negative 8. And then with the y, you got 7 times 2, which gets you 14. The next set of parentheses, it's all to the first power. So when you have something to the first power, nothing changes. So we're just going to bring it along. Alright, because negative 2 to the first is still negative 2. 5 times 1 is still 5. 3 times 1 is still 3. So, since all this is multiplication, we're going to go through and start multiplying them. We can also move this negative exponent around. This x with the negative 8 we can also move around as well. So negative 2 times 9 is negative 18. With our x, we went through this time, instead of moving x negative 8 to the bottom first, you can also combine them. So negative 8 plus 5 would be negative 3. And then with the y's, 14 plus 3 is 17. So now we got one more step. We have to get rid of this negative exponent. So we're going to take this x negative 3 and put it in the denominator. So then our final answer would be negative 18 y 17 divided by x to the third power. So you can either move the x with the negative 8 exponent to the bottom first and then reduce it, or you can combine them first. Since you're multiplying, you can add these exponents. So negative 8 plus 5 is negative 3, and then take the negative 3 that's attached to the x and move it to the denominator and make it x positive 3. Alright, hope that helped. I'll see y'all next time.